Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a really interesting and somewhat sobering topic about Malaysia, a country that once stood proudly among the Asian tigers of the 1990s. These were countries that were growing rapidly and becoming major economic powerhouses in Southeast Asia, and Malaysia was right there at the top. But fast forward to today, and Malaysia has fallen on tough times. In fact, it's been classified as a low-growth, low-income, low-human development nation, and its per capita GDP has been stagnating for a decade. What happened? In today's video, we'll explore why Malaysia went from being a shining example of economic success to now being seen as one of the slowest-growing economies in the region. We'll take a look at the factors behind this downturn and what might be done to turn things around. Now, to understand how things went south, we need to go back to the 1990s. Back then, Malaysia was one of the rising stars of Southeast Asia. Like its neighbors, Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines, Malaysia was experiencing rapid economic growth. The country had abundant natural resources, a growing manufacturing sector, and an increasingly open market that attracted foreign investment. Malaysia was often held up as an example of successful economic development. At the heart of this economic boom was the country's strong industrial sector, especially in electronics manufacturing. Malaysia became one of the world's largest producers of semiconductors, and its factories were essential parts of global supply chains. So, the narrative was that Malaysia was heading for even greater success in the 21st century. But as is often the case, things weren't as stable as they appeared. The first big blow came in the late 1990s during the Asian financial crisis. The crisis shook economies across Southeast Asia, and Malaysia, despite its rapid growth, was no exception. The crisis left lasting scars on the country's financial system, and recovery from that downturn took much longer than expected. So, what happened after that? Well, Malaysia's economy seemed to be stuck in neutral. Even though the government tried various plans to kickstart growth, such as diversifying the economy and focusing on technology and services, the results were pretty underwhelming. For the past decade, Malaysia's GDP per capita has barely moved, and there's a real sense that the country has lost momentum. Now, why is that? One key factor is Malaysia's over-reliance on natural resources. While the country is rich in oil, palm oil, and rubber, these industries have faced serious challenges in recent years. Global commodity prices fluctuate, and Malaysia hasn't been able to diversify its economy enough to make up for these losses. The reliance on resource extraction has meant that other sectors, like technology and innovation, haven't been given the attention they need to truly drive growth. And that brings us to the second problem, Malaysia's lack of industrial and technological diversification. The country still depends heavily on industries that are low on the value chain, like oil extraction and assembly line manufacturing. But in today's global economy, economies that don't innovate, that don't invest in high-tech industries and knowledge-based sectors, will inevitably fall behind. And Malaysia, while it has made strides in sectors like tech, hasn't fully transitioned to a high-value economy. Countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and even Indonesia have begun to pull ahead because they're investing more in tech, education, and human capital. But that's not all. The political landscape in Malaysia has also been problematic. For years, political instability, corruption scandals, and ineffective governance have prevented the country from implementing effective reforms. A lack of political will to follow through on promises and a deeply ingrained system of cronyism has created an environment where long-term economic planning is extremely difficult. The result? Confidence among both local and foreign investors has been undermined, and capital flight is a real issue. Now, let's talk about the human development side of things. Malaysia has made tremendous progress in areas like education and healthcare in the past few decades. However, there are still significant challenges. The quality of education has stagnated, and the country hasn't done enough to nurture the kind of innovation-driven economy that can sustain long-term growth. Without a skilled, highly educated workforce ready to take on high-tech, global challenges, Malaysia will struggle to remain competitive in the 21st century economy. Another challenge is income inequality. While Malaysia's overall economy grew rapidly in the 90s, the wealth didn't trickle down to everyone. The gap between the rich and the poor has grown, and many segments of the population still live in poverty. This inequality has exacerbated social divisions, and as a result, economic growth hasn't been inclusive. Without inclusive growth that lifts everyone, the country is stuck in a cycle of low economic mobility and poor social outcomes. So, this brings us to the question, can Malaysia bounce back? There's certainly hope. The government has outlined ambitious plans to modernize the economy and move away from being solely reliant on commodities. But to make that happen, Malaysia needs to improve its political stability, push forward with educational reforms, and most importantly, create an environment that encourages innovation and entrepreneurship. If Malaysia can do that, it has the potential to become a regional powerhouse once again. But the big question is, will it? With global competition intensifying and other countries in Southeast Asia rapidly modernizing, Malaysia needs to act fast. The next decade will be crucial for the country's future. If it can solve its internal problems, diversify its economy, and create a more inclusive society, it could once again be a beacon of prosperity in Southeast Asia. But if things continue on the current trajectory, Malaysia risks becoming a cautionary tale of what happens when countries don't adapt to changing global realities. We'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. Thanks for watching today's video. If you have any thoughts on Malaysia's situation, feel free to leave a comment down below. Do you think Malaysia can reclaim its place as one of Southeast Asia's economic leaders, or is it too late? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on our future content. Catch you in the next one.